It's Dance Party USA over there at Chamber Chat. Uh, this is Chamber Chat. Looks like we're on season 9. I'm your host today, Matt Green with Glocker Real Estate. Today I'm going to be talking to Wendy Moyer Drabick. I hope I got that right, Wendy.
Morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, and you?
I am well. I just did a little intro. I don't know if it went across or not, but I introduced you as the guest today, Wendy Moyer Drabick. I hope I pronounced that right.
It's a long A, but that's okay.
Okay, and you're the owner of Moyer Drabick and Associates Ltd.
Correct.
Before we get into the conversation, we're supposed to promote our While You're Chewing, We're Chatting sponsor. And just in case people missed the intro that I just did, I'm Matt Green at Glocker Real Estate. But today's sponsor is Manatawny Stillworks, a state-of-the-art distillery engineering the highest quality small batch American whiskeys located in Pottstown. They honor distilling heritage by combining premium ingredients, innovating distillation process, and a thoughtful barrel aging and finish to build our own house of craft spirits. If whiskey isn't your thing, you're in luck. They also produce vodkas, gins, rums, and brandies. Today, you can win a $25 gift card for Manatawny Stillworks just by commenting on the live episode of Chamber Chat. You could ask a question, you could say hello, and that apparently will give you $25 gift card to Manatawny Stillworks. We look forward to seeing those comments. It's a class participation show. It's not gonna be the same if we don't have some people participating. There's also a member shout out that I need to do. Today's member shout out is Ben Exchange. Ben Exchange has made it their mission to focus on bringing their customers the best experience when searching for insurance and financial products. The Chamber is grateful to have Ben Exchange as a 2022 Supporting Commerce Tiers investor, TIERS, a Supporting Commerce Tiers investor, the Ben Exchange. All right, let's get into it. Wendy, I looked up your company a little bit, and it says here that you're a full-service consulting firm specializing in selection, implementation, training, and support for various computerized accounting packages for all types of business. So tell us what that means. Break it down.
So in layman's terms, for lack of a better term, is I will help your accounting department or the CFO or the CEO figure out what the best software is to use. That's what it really is in layman's terms. And everybody has heard of the term QuickBooks before.
Right.
Or they've heard of the term Peachtree, which is now Sage, or they've heard of another accounting package that they use. So a lot of people don't know how to use their program. They just got dropped into the position of being the bookkeeper and they're just kind of fumbling around, or they've been using this software for years and they don't know how to use it, or they don't know a section how to use, or hey, I want to get better reports out of it, or stuff like that. So excuse me, we go in and literally, kind of look at the program, see if it's working for them, see if it's a good program, because it might not be a good program. They might need to switch, or maybe they just need like an add-on report package, or they need to do certified payroll because they're dealing with governments and they need a program that'll do that. So that, in layman's terms, that's pretty much what we do.
So most of the time people are calling you because they're having a problem, or do you get a lot of proactive calls like, hey, we're going to be going into this software, we don't know much about it, we need help, or is it a combination of the two? How do people normally come to you? I guess that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, so you're right, they do come both ways. We get referrals from past clients. We get referrals from QuickBooks and Sage. I've gotten referrals from, a group, if I'm on a board, or if I happen to bump into somebody at church or something like that, that just happens to know what we do. So we get referrals from all types of places. We love the proactive ones because those are the best, because then again, we get them from the beginning and then we determine, hey, is the software really good and how you're going to implement it. But we get people who are in the middle of it too, like I said, that just, "Hey, I came in, I inherited a mess. Can you help me clean up the mess, or can we just scratch the mess and start all over?" So
I
we get them
got you.
all types.
So are you guys registered then? If you're getting leads directly from Sage and from QuickBooks, I guess you guys are somehow registered or certified as experts with those
Mhm.
software
So
companies?
yeah, we're considered certified advisors with both of them.
Okay. So you're on a list then, and if somebody calls those folks for help, there's some kind of pull down sheet, and
Mhm.
Moyer
A lot of
Drabick is
times
on.
if you call tech support and, you say, "I want a local person," because again, we all know when we call tech support, we get a call center, and the call center doesn't know your business or, doesn't know where you're located. They could be located anywhere, and they just want somebody to come in, sit down with them, and talk to them about their business and their problems and stuff like that. So, a lot of times with Sage, they'll just say, "Hey, there's a local person in your area," if you call into tech support. With QuickBooks, you can actually go onto a website and type in, like your address and look for somebody, within 20 miles of you or whatever the mileage you want to put in. And you can find me that way. Or again, you can call tech support.
Okay, great. So I guess what I want to try to get into is talking about some of the challenges that you see these small businesses are facing, right? Because we're all here because we're small business owners or we're members of a small business, and we need some advice and some direction, right? So what I wrote a couple of questions down for you because things that I'm curious about. So I'm
Go for
sure
it.
if I'm curious about them, other people are too. What's the biggest challenge you see to a small business in choosing software? Like what's the number one reason why they're choosing a certain software? And then what are the challenges to them making that decision?
So I think a lot of people who have the software that they have right now have it because um, they watched an advertisement, and that advertisement said, "This is the best thing since sliced bread, and you can be up and running in 15 minutes." Or they've maybe talked to their accountant, and their accountant knows one software, and the accountant's going to be happy if they go on that one software. So I feel that both of those sides, and I'm an accountant, so I can say that about accountants because I know that a lot of them out there know one software, whatever that software is. Or like I said, somebody saw an advertisement somewhere or a display at Staples that they look like, and they're like, "Oh, this looks good." When in reality, that software may not be the best fit for them. So sometimes I feel like the software is the biggest disservice because, like I said, they picked the wrong one, in answer to your question.
So I use QuickBooks, right? And
Sorry to
I
hear that. Just kidding.
I,
Just
I
kidding.
have good look at it. So you prefer Sage then, based on that
I
comment.
didn't say that. I didn't say that. Now,
So
I sit
what
on
I'm
the fence. I'm an advisor for both, so I sit on the fence, and I'll tell any one of my clients that I sit on the fence. However, there are benefits to both of them, depending on, like, what industry you're in, how many users you want, and all that other stuff. So if somebody comes to me and says, "Hi, I'm starting a business for the very first time, and I don't know what software to pick," that's a great client for me because again, I come to the table and show them both, if not more than the two of them. That's the crux of what I do, but there's others that I do. And just say, "Okay, you are really heavily into inventory, or you're a professional service business and you're interested in time tracking, or you're a nonprofit that has to track grants or something like that. So you have a special like niche about your business and stuff like that, which will help me guide you into the right one." Because like I said, just because your accountant loves QuickBooks and says, "We use QuickBooks in our firm, you should use that." Your accountant's not sitting at your desk every day doing your finances, right? So
right,
it's got to
right.
be something that you like, that you're comfortable with. Every one of them can print out your financials to give to your accountant to do your tax return. Doesn't matter what you're on.
So I guess what my question is then because you're experts in this, because you deal with this stuff every day, you know which software might be better for a certain industry. So if I run a construction business, right, and let's say I'm a plumber and I do a lot of installation and things of that nature. So one program might be better than another one,
Mhm.
depending on the industry that I'm in.
Yes.
Could you give a couple of examples of like QuickBooks is better for this industry, Sage is better for that
Yep.
industry? Could you do that off the top of your head to give some people some
Absolutely.
direction?
I would hope so. I wouldn't be a good advisor if I couldn't do that off the top of my head. So if we're looking for like a professional services industry, so like somebody who's like a consultant like me, QuickBooks will work very well for that because again, it doesn't have a lot of stuff to deal with. It just says, hey, I'm providing a service, paying my bills, doing my bank rec, stuff like that. When you're starting to get into like heavier stuff, like if you're dealing with inventory. So in the inventory mode, you have to cost your inventory a specific way, whether that's called FIFO, LIFO, or average cost. So if you say to me, well, the accountant says we do our inventory on FIFO, that knocks QuickBooks right out the window because QuickBooks doesn't handle anything except for average cost. Unless, of course, you get into their higher end pricey product, then it will handle FIFO. But the normal user, again, just somebody who's starting a business for the very first time, looking for not spending a lot of money, and they want to use FIFO as their costing method, they can't use QuickBooks. And I don't know if they know that ahead of time because QuickBooks only does average again, unless you get into the higher end. So Sage will handle FIFO, LIFO, and average cost. So again, inventory. If you're looking for like specific add-on products, like a lot of people like to do online timesheets. So they'll, log on to a website, they'll have their name, they'll have the project, they'll do their timesheets and everything. A lot of times, QuickBooks will handle the time integration into their software a lot better. They have more apps that they integrate with QuickBooks, right? So it kind of, like I said, everybody's different, whether they want add-ons, whether they want inventory, whether they want certified payroll. If you were talking about labor burdens, with some construction and stuff like that, Sage does labor burdens really well.
So
Don't forget, go
what
ahead.
I'm hearing is that somebody should call you before they go out and make that purchase, right?
Hopefully, hopefully,
That would be the best way to do it. Rather than get
right,
something and have you come in to troubleshoot, call Wendy first, have her get you set up based on her experience and recommendations, and then you'll hit the ground running quicker. I mean, that's what I'm
right,
hearing.
right.
So I got another question for you here, and I
Okay.
think so. This kind of goes to after we've made the selection, right? So we've called Wendy on the phone. She's given us advice. We have the product. We have the add-ons that we need. What's the one thing that a small business can do to ensure that their software and hardware stays running at optimal performance? What are things that they can do in house to make sure that the selections that they made stay running like they were the first day they got them?
Well, we do after the selection is made, whether that's Sage, QuickBooks, or anything else, we do the whole engagement letter with them. So we do start from the beginning of say, okay, what's your chart of accounts? Make sure that it works for them, whether it's given to them by their accountant, whether they've had it before, but we figure out their chart of accounts, get their vendors and their customers in, whether that's typed in or it's imported in from somewhere else, and then start to do the training on everything. So we train them how to, write a check, put in an inventory item, balance their checkbook, run payroll, stuff like that. Like we're with them the whole step of the way to make sure that they're up and running. And then we kind of step back for a little bit, let them do things for about a month or two, and then get them on a schedule of trying to come in monthly at the first time, then eventually quarterly, just to check up on things, help them understand their financial statements, see if they're running into any bumps into the road that we may have to say, okay, this wasn't set up correctly. Maybe we need to pivot and do this. Or, hey, after I've worked with it for 6 months, I realize I want a couple other reports or I want an add on package and stuff like that. Like, we don't just do the engagement and disappear. We're kind of with them the whole way. And in the beginning, when we're sitting down with them talking about their product, we're kind of thinking 6 months ahead of time. I always say that. I'm like, at the initial meeting, when they're talking about the software and they pick the software, I'm like, okay, think 6 months from now. What kind of reports are you going to need? Are you going to need time and billing reports? Are you going to need certified payroll? What are you going to need? Do you want to see the inventory valuation? Like, what do you want to see? Because by them telling me what they want 6 months from now, it helps me set it up for them.
Okay. Now, it also talks about here in your company statement that you also help with computer setup, maintenance, and repair. Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yep. Yep. So we have an IT division. So with software always comes hardware. And what we had found out originally when I started my business many years ago is I was just doing the software, but I would go into clients and people would be like, can you fix my printer? Or I'm thinking about buying a new PC. Or they would just all of a sudden throw these hardware questions out. And I'm like, okay, I know enough in the hardware side of things because I have to with the software about installing and doing all that stuff. But I thought, okay, let's start a hardware division. So that hardware division does exactly what I said. It will troubleshoot a virus. It will set up a server with 5 PCs attached to it. It will install antivirus software. It will do remote backup or cloud software. It will do anything related to a PC, a network, and stuff like that. So we're kind of covering both aspects of it, the hardware and the software, even though at times the hardware people like to blame the software people, vice versa. Where people like to blame the hardware people, but we're all in the same company, right?
Right, right, right. So you're giving people that full support, basically software support, hardware
Mhm.
support, and you're hopefully helping them, or you are helping them keep their machines up and running optimally. We've
Yep.
got a question coming in from Joe Rusevich from the Foundation for Pottstown Education. Looks like he just got himself a $25 gift card to Manatoni Steelworks. Joe wants to know, do you also work with donor software?
Yeah. So in dealing with softwares like QuickBooks and Sage, like I said, they all work with other softwares that either integrate or import or something like that. So we work with a lot of payroll companies helping people, take their paychecks or their ADP reports and dump them into QuickBooks or Sage because that kind of has to set up. You just don't push a button. And then we work with a lot of other softwares, again, like Joe had just said, like donor software. I know a lot of people who use QuickBooks use a program called Perfect, excuse me, Donor Perfect. So I'm not sure if that's the software that he's actually talking about, but I have used it before, Donor Perfect. I know that there's other ones out there. I've worked with some church softwares for the church, the donations and stuff like that for church to drop into QuickBooks and stuff like that. So Joe, I don't know if you wanted to follow up if that is Donor Perfect or not. Yes, I do work with other ones, or I can talk to. Oh, yeah, he said yes, it is Donor
Yes,
Perfect.
it's Donor
Yeah, I've
Perfect.
had a couple of nonprofits integrate their Donor Perfect with QuickBooks, so I'm not sure what you're using as your accounting software, but yeah, I'd be happy to answer any questions you got. I don't know all the softwares out there because there's so many of them and stuff like that, but a lot of them, again, rise to the top because most people know of, a name or something like that, that, hey, this is the best one and stuff like that.
All right, we got another question coming across the board. Sarah Dawson, she might have missed it. I don't think she did. How often do you recommend a tune-up or a check of the setups?
So I always would say something like maybe quarterly, because like if you're getting into your system and things aren't working right, the last thing you want to do is wait till the end of the year and go, oh crap, I messed this up and I need to fix it before I go to the accountant at the end of the year and stuff like that. That way, if you're only 3 months into the year, you can kind of fix what you need to and then go forward with another 3 months. And then hopefully by that time, everything will be good. It's kind of like doing your quarterly payroll taxes. I just talk about quarterly reviews too.
Okay, that's a good question from Sarah. And I guess she's on the board for a $25 gift certificate from Manatawny Steelworks. I kind of wish I could put a comment on
I
her.
know, me too.
So let's talk about you for a second. You enjoy going to Manatawny Steelworks. What in your when you're not troubleshooting software and troubleshooting hardware and giving people all this great advice, what does Wendy like to do in her free time?
So in my free time, I am a certified swim official. So you will a lot of times see me at a swim meet somewhere on deck, whether I am the ref or the starter or something like that, because my daughter started swimming when she was 8. So it just kind of was something that I always enjoyed doing. And even though she's in college, I still help out at, some of the club meets in our area, and then I go to other pools and stuff like that. So I like that. That's one of the things that I do. And the other thing that I do is that I am an adjunct faculty teacher at Montgomery County Community College. So there I teach either accounting classes, management classes, or their computer class, which goes over Microsoft Office. So that's kind of fills up my free time.
Okay. And then when you're not doing that, you like to go over to Manatawny Steelworks to grab that.
Did you have to say that so many times?
I don't. Hey, they're the sponsor of the show. I just figured I'd give them a little
Well, you know
credit,
what?
right?
I feel like I have to go now because I've never been there. So this
Oh,
is
really?
awesome. Plus,
Okay.
my husband likes whiskey, so that'd be a good excuse as to why to go.
Well, there you go. It's right over there on the Circle of Progress across the street from Sly Fox. Super easy
Oh,
to
there you
find.
go. I know exactly where it is. All right.
Yeah, there you go. So let's see. I got one more question, and this is one of the things that kind of popped into my head when I was looking about what you did and things of that nature. And it might also been spurred on by the fact that we see so much stuff going on with business security and there's scams out there and businesses are getting hacked. They're losing their information. It might be a little bit outside of your expertise, but what kind of challenges are you seeing to small businesses as far as like cyber threats or online threats, things of that nature? Is there any trends that you're seeing, and what are you seeing small businesses do to protect themselves from that kind of stuff?
Well, we definitely have had clients who've had viruses on computers because, again, it went all over the place. We've had some clients that have had ransomware on their computers also too. And again, the question becomes is there antivirus? Is there security on the machine? Because chances are there isn't. And then the question is why isn't there? Because there absolutely should be, not only on the PC, but also on the network too. And again, keeping up with all your Microsoft updates, whether they're on the PC or whether they're on the server. I mean, we are constantly going in, again, usually, Microsoft loves to do updates sometimes on Tuesdays or when they reboot your computer automatically for you. That happens every once in a while for me. All of a sudden, my computer's rebooted. I'm like, oh, Microsoft did an update. But again, just having your IT people come in, whether that's on, whether you have signed up for a monthly managed service or something that they provide that, but just doing updates. I mean, just like my husband was telling me the other day, he's like, "Did you do the latest update for your Apple iPhone?" And I was just like, "Well, no, it didn't come in through automatic update." And he goes, "Do it anyway." And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "Because there's a big security issue with Apple right now that they need to go on." Just like my phone, it's the same thing with your PC. Like you need to keep up with your updates and you need to have software to protect yourself from it. And you need to be making backups of your software. Like if you're using QuickBooks or Sage, you need to be making backups of that in case something does happen to your PC or your network that it craps out and you lose everything, right? That's
Right.
just like insurance. You got to have insurance.
Yeah, that redundancy, the business redundancy that
Right.
people talk about. So that's another layer of protection so that people can protect their information, their data, right? And so much of what we do in modern business is driven by that data
What would
collection.
you do if you lost your whole accounting system right now? Is my comment to a lot of people. And they're like, "Oh my God, I'd be crap out of, I'd be in trouble." And some
Right.
people would say, "Oh, I got a backup in the cloud. I'd be up and running in 20 minutes." That's great to hear, but you don't want to be the one who goes, "Crap, I'm out of luck," right?
No
Right.
one wants to be that person. But if you are, call Wendy.
Well, I could do some, I got some rabbits in my hat, but not,
Right, right, right. Well, maybe what they'll do is help you get set up. If you've lost it all, they'll help you get back up on your feet and running.
Yeah, really.
Uh, So we're coming down towards the end of the show, and we have a couple of more sponsors that we have to talk about. The While You're Chewing, We're Chatting sponsors. A big thank you to this season's sponsors for While You're Chewing, We're Chatting is Brakeman's Cafe, Smoothie Q, and again, the Manatoni Stillworks. I wanted to give them a shout out again. Here towards the end of the show, any final thoughts, any last minute what didn't I ask you that you wanted to talk about?
I always equate it to like buying a car. I mean, again, it's not the same level as buying a car, but just like I said, don't just look at the marketing and don't just listen to one person. Like, do your research when you buy the software. That's really what I would recommend. Again, and even if you pick the wrong one, or one that doesn't fit your company, I should say it that way, not the wrong one that doesn't fit your company, like call me. We could at least try to make it work. Or if you bought it and you're like, crap, it doesn't have this, maybe there's an add-on or something that you didn't know about. Like here's a perfect example. A client of mine had Sage 50. She calls me up and she's like, this is just really irritating. She goes, I do direct deposit. I'm like, great. And she goes, but I want to send the stubs out to each one of the employees. And I'm just like, well, you could print the stubs out and hand them out. She goes, no, I want to email them. I don't want to deal with it. She goes, I used to print out stubs, put them on somebody's desk, and people were taking other people's stubs and stealing their information. I'm like, that's weird. And I said, all right. So I pegged one of my colleagues in Georgia and I was like, hey, do you know anything about this? She's like, oh yeah, I got this great software. So I sent the software to her, which allows her to print off each individual person's stub, like their direct deposit stub, and email it directly out to all, I think it's like 30 employees. She's like, oh my God, you're wonderful. Like, that's what I want to hear. You know what I mean? So somebody who had a problem, she tried to fix, she didn't like her fix. We just found a simple add-on program, which was $50 literally. And now she's over the moon. Like, that's what I like to hear. I like to hear stories like that.
Gotcha. The success stories.
Yep.
Do you have real quick, like a greatest success story? Is there anything, a company or an example of somebody that sticks out in your mind as they really called you at the right time and you were able to knock it out of the park for
them? Well, one that I could think of off the top of my head, they're a company in Westchester and they're a manufacturing facility, and they were using a DOS product, a really old DOS product.
Wow, does anybody even know?
Yeah, really. Now I'm dating myself. And it was just her. I mean, you remember DOS, you had to know the commands, and I was just very, very bad with all the menus and stuff like that. And they got my name from a referral, called me up. I went in and sat down with them. And since they were a manufacturing facility, we talked about QuickBooks, putting them in there. So I was just like, okay, yep, it works out. And I said, QuickBooks is not manufacturing software. It's financial software. So I want to use this add-on. They're like, okay, signed up. I made the controller quit, unfortunately. She was on her way out anyway. She did not want to move softwares. That was her issue, which was fine because that's a big issue too, with resistance of change. Well, we've always done it this way.
Yes.
So I don't want to change the software. Well, the software's old. The person who's supporting it isn't alive anymore, so if something happens, you're out of luck pretty much, right? So we put them on QuickBooks. We put them on an add-on package manufacturing software called MySys. We integrated both of them, and it's a great company. They're really, really happy. They are just like over the moon. Again, I made the controller quit. They hired somebody else, but that controller was on her way out anyway, because like I said, she didn't want to change. She wanted to use the DOS software. And the owner of the company, who is an older lady also, was just like, this isn't working for us, right? We're not getting the reports. We're not seeing what items are selling. It's not truly telling us raw materials and all this other stuff. Now they're on it. They're spot on. They are good to go. So that would be my success story if I had to say one.
All right. I gotcha. So again, this is my first time ever hosting this. I host my own podcast called
You did a great job.
I don't have any controls or anything else. But it seems like we've covered your business fairly well. We've given the shout outs to our sponsors. We had a couple of questions from Sarah Dawson and Joe Rusevich from the Foundation for Pottstown Education. My name's Matt Green at Glocker Real Estate. You can find me on social media just by checking Matt Green at Glocker Real Estate. All my stuff will come up. If somebody wants to look for you, Wendy, where are they going to find you?
So you could obviously always find me on the membership directory at the chamber. Shout out to the chamber.
There
Or
you
I
go.
think I saw my website address down there, which is www.mdassociates.net, which was up there. Oh, there it is. And if you want to, you can either call the phone number that's on there, or if you would fill out the contact, us form, it will go to like a box that's monitored by a couple people, and eventually it would get to me.
Okay, there you go. If you like what you heard today, if you're looking for help in the software space, especially when it comes to counting, give Moyer Drabick and Associates a call. They're here to help you out. I guess you're serving the TriCounty area, correct?
Yep, and beyond.
And beyond. There you go. Once again, my name's Matt Green at Glocker Real Estate. We've been with Wendy Moyer Drabick. This is Chamber Chat. Thanks for chilling while we're chatting, and I am going to log off. I'll see you guys later.
All right, thanks, Matt.